Book 7. Evil, the same old thing. No matter what happens, keep this in mind. It's the same old thing, from one end of the world to the other. It fills the history books, ancient and modern, and the cities and the houses too. Nothing new at all, familiar, transient. You cannot quench understanding unless you put out the insights that compose it. You can rekindle those at will, like glowing coals. I can control my thoughts as necessary. Then how can I be troubled? What is outside my mind means nothing to it. Absorb that lesson, and your feet stand firm. You can return to life. Look at things as you did before, and life returns. Pointless bustling of processions, opera arias, herds of sheep and cattle, military exercises, a bone flock to pet poodles, a little food in the fish tank, the miserable servitude of ants, scampering of frightening mice, puppets jerking on strings. Surrounded as we are by all things, we need to practice acceptance without disdain, remembering that our own worth is measured by what we devote our energy to. Focus on what is said when you speak, and on what results from each action. Know what the one aims at, and what the other means. Is my intellect up to this? If so, then I'll put it to work like a tool provided by nature, and if it isn't, then I'll return the job over to someone who can do better, unless I have no choice. Or I'll do the best I can with it and collaborate with whoever can make use of it to do what the community needs done, because whatever I do alone or with others can aim at one thing only, was squares with those requirements. So many who were remembered already forgotten, and those who remembered them long gone. Don't be ashamed to need help, like a soldier storming a wall. You have a mission to accomplish, and if you've been wounded and you need a comrade to pull you up, so what? Forget the future. When and if it comes, you'll have the same resources to draw on, the same logos. Everything is interwoven, and the web is holy. None of its parts are unconnected. They are composed harmoniously, and together they compose the world. One world made up of all things, one divinity present in all of them, in them all, one substance and one law, the logos, that all rational beings share, and one truth. If this is needed, the culmination of one process, beings who share the same birth, the same logos. All substance is soon absorbed into nature. All that animates is soon restored to the logos. All trace of them both soon recover over time. To a being with logos, an unnatural action is one that conflicts with the logos. Straight, not straightening. What is rational in different beings is related, like the individual limbs of a single being are meant to function as a unit. This will be clearer to you if you remind yourself, I am the single limb, melos, of a larger body, a rational one. Or you could say apart, metos, only a letter's difference. But then you're not really embracing other people. Helping them isn't yet some reward. You're still seeing it only as the right thing to do. You don't yet realize that you're really helping. Do you not yet realize who you're really helping? Let it happen if it wants, to whatever it can happen to. And what's affected can complain about it if it wants. It doesn't hurt me unless I interpret it's happening as harmful to me. I can choose not to. No matter what anyone says or does, my task is to be good, like gold or emerald or purple, repeating to itself, no matter what anyone says or does, my task is to be emerald in my coral undiminished. The mind doesn't get its own way, it doesn't frighten itself into desires. If other things can scare or hurt and let them, it won't go down that road on the basis of its own perceptions. Let the body avoid discomfort if it can, and if it feels it, say so. But the soul is what it feels, fear and pain, and what conceives of them in the first place, and it suffers nothing, because it will never conclude that it has. The mind in itself has no needs, except for those it creates itself. It is understood, except for its own disturbances, knows no obstructions except those from within. Well-being is good luck or good character. But are you doing here perceptions? Get back to where you came from, and good riddance. I don't need you. Yes, I know. It was only force of habit that brought you. No, I'm not angry with you. Just go away. Frightened of change, but what can exist without it? Without it, what's closer to nature's heart? Can you take a hot bath and leave the firewood as it was? Eat food without transforming it? Can any vital process take place without something being changed? Can you see? It's just the same with you, and just as vital to nature. Carried through existence as through rushing rapids, all bodies, which are sprung from nature and cooperate with it, as our limbs do with each other. Time has swallowed a Chrysippus, a Socrates, an Epictetus, many times over. For Epictetus, read any person and anything. My only fear is doing something contrary to human nature, the wrong thing, the wrong way, or at the wrong time. Close to forgetting it all, close to being forgotten. To feel affection for people even when they make mistakes is unequally human. Unequally human. You can do it if you simply recognize that they are human too, that they act out of ignorance against their will, and that you'll both be dead before long, and above all, that they haven't really hurt you, they haven't diminished your ability to choose. Nature takes substance and makes a horse, like a sculptor with wax, and then melts it down and uses the material for a tree, then for a person, then for something else, each existing only briefly. It does at the container no harm to be put together, and none to be taken apart. Anger in the face of is unnatural, or in the end is put out of for good, so that it can't be rekindled. Try to conclude its unnaturalness from that. If even the consciousness of acting badly has gone, why go on living? Before long, nature which controls it all will alter everything you see and use it as material for something else, over and over again, so that the world is continually renewed. When people injure you, ask yourself what good or harm the thought will come of it. If you understand that, you'll feel sympathy rather than outrage or anger. Your sense of good and evil might be the same as theirs or near it, in which case you have to excuse them. Or your sense of good and evil might differ from theirs, in which case they are misguided and deserve your compassion. This is so hard. This is so hard. Treat what you don't have as not existent. Look at what you have, the things you value most, and think of how much you've craved them if you didn't have them. But be careful, don't feel such satisfaction that you start to overvalue them, that it will upset you to lose them. Self-contraction, the mind's requirements are satisfied by doing what we should, and by the calm it brings us. Discard your misperception. Stop being jerked by like a puppet. Limit yourself to the present. Understand what happens to you, to others. Analyze what exists. Break it all down, material and cause. Anticipate your final hours. Others people's mistakes, leave them to their makers. To direct your thoughts to what is said. To focus the mind on what happens and what makes it happen. Wash yourself clean with simplicity, with humility, with indifference to everything but right and wrong. Care for other human beings, follow God. All are relative. It's been said, and in reality, any atoms. It's enough to remember that the first half, all are relative, which is little enough. That's not from Aurelius, was it? On death, if atoms disperse, if oneness quench or change. On pain, endurable pain brings its own end with it. Chronic pain is always endurable. The intelligence maintains serenity by cutting itself off from the body. The mind remains undiminished. And the parts of the pain effects, let them speak for themselves if they can. On ambition, how their minds work, the things they long for and fear, events like piles of sand, drift upon drift, each one soon hidden by the next. If his mind is filled with nobility, with a grasp of all time, all existence, do you think our human life will mean much to him at all? How could it, he said, or death be very frightening? Not in the least. Kingship, to earn a bad reputation by good deeds. 'Tis grateful that the mind should control the face, should be able to shape and mold. It is as it pleases, but not to shape and mold itself. And why should we feel angry at the world? And if the world will notice, may you bring joy to us and those on high, to harvest life like standing stalks of grain, grown and cut down in turn. If I and my 2 children cannot move, the gods must have their reasons. For what is just and good is on my side. No chorus of lamentation, no hysterics. And the only proper response for me to make is this: you are much mistaken, my friend, if you think that any man worth his salt cares about the risk of death and doesn't concentrate on this alone, whether what he's doing is right or wrong, and his behavior a good man's or a bad one's.